Hello, this is Irina K and welcome back to my channel AstroBabushka. I am a Vedic astrologer and I apply ancient 3,000 years old knowledge to modern times. Today, I want to take you through the chart of the Donald Trump's inauguration back in January 2025. This chart is not just a formality, it sets the tone for the years ahead. And what we see here is not the calm picture of stability whatsoever. It's a picture of a country stepping into a storm. There's a big reason why I looked into this chart now, only a few months later. And it has direct connection with recent assassination, and I will talk about it in a bit. So, the chart begins with the Aries on the horizon. It's Aries rising, the sign of battles, pioneers, and new cycles. But right at the doorway sits Uranus, the planet of shock and disruption. Whenever Uranus rises, it signals that the period ahead will be full of surprises, rebellions, and sudden breaks with tradition. And here's a twist. This Uranus is not just floating alone. It's aligned with Donald Trump's own Uranus, and it's nearly at the same place as Uranus of the United States itself. America is approaching its Uranus return, something that happens only once every 84 years, a time when the nation's identity gets shaken to the core. I made the whole video about it recently, so you can have a look. Now, this makes sense with the national mood right now. Many Americans say that they no longer trust their institutions, courts, Congress, even elections. Polarization runs so deep that the very idea of democracy feels under strain. That is Uranus energy, the old order cracking open. Now, the ruler of nakshatra in Lagna in this chart is Venus. So it's one of the rulers of the whole chart. And Venus isn't in a peaceful place. It sits together with Saturn in the planet of pressure and tests. And both of them are aligned with a fixed star called Akernar, a star that an ancient tradition marks the end of the river, a symbol of endings and decisive turning points. This star was powerfully activated during the lunar eclipse of September 2025. I predicted in lunar eclipse video assassinations attempts, and unfortunately it came true. And you cannot make things up like that. But the degree of lunar eclipse is falling directly on Venus, the whole chart ruler, and it is in the 11th house of allies. I think I will make a whole separate video on Charlie Kirk to explain it in depth. Sadly, this inauguration carries forward the themes of endings, judgments, and sharp collective shifts. Well, for me personally, lesson learned. Inauguration chart is extremely important to see when we analyze mundane events. Now, Venus in this role doesn't bring harmony. Instead, it raises questions of survival, of values breaking down, of relationships and alliances being tested to the limit. And in society today, that shows up as economic strain, cost of living, healthcare, housing, and inequality pressing in on people's lives. Venus, the planet of value and resources, here shows how fragile that balance is. To understand how the people will feel, we always look to the moon. And in this chart, the moon is weak and sort of eclipsed in spirit. It sits next to the shadow point Ketu in a place of struggle and conflict. The moon is also in a declining phase, waning, which in symbolic language means the people's mood is tired, disillusioned, and fragmented. It suggests that ordinary citizens may feel unprotected, insecure, and detached from leadership. They may even feel that their homeland is slipping away from them. This matches the climate of rising polarization, online toxicity, and the sense that Americans no longer share the same reality. The moon's weakness reflects the frayed emotional bonds of the country. At the very top of the inauguration chart, right on the 10th house cusp, the seat of government, we see the Sun fused with Pluto. The Sun is the symbol of leadership, visibility, authority. Pluto is the planet of deep power, survival, and irreversible transformation. And here they're not just close, they're almost welded together. So this is not a chart of a comfortable presidency, if it even exists. It is a chart where leadership and crisis are one and the same. The person who carries the office also carries the weight of upheaval. Pluto rules Scorpio, the sign of the underworld, hidden forces, and the 8th house of secrecy here, loss and rebirth. With Pluto rising so strongly, it drags those 8th house themes into the heart of government itself. It means that issues of control, secrecy, hidden wealth, and power struggles are inseparable from the presidency itself. And when we open up the deeper layers of this chart, the divisional charts, Vargas, the same picture repeats. Over and over again, the Sun and Pluto appear together in key places of power. In the D5 chart, the chart of power, they sit in the 4th house, the roots of influence and power. In the D6 chart, again in the 4th house in Scorpio. In the D4, the house of homeland, the Varga of homeland, once more in the 4th house, tightly joined with Uranus, all under the watch of Mars from the 10th. In the D10, the career chart, Sun and Pluto sits in the 2nd house in Scorpio, the house of resources and speech. Here, the Sun also rules the 11th house of networks and alliances, forming a yoga for wealth and pretty strong influence. This repetition is striking. It says the Sun and Pluto are not a passing detail. They are the core signature of this configuration, of this inauguration. Power is concentrated, fused, tested, and tied to the survival of the state. But this is not power without enemies. The Sun and Pluto are tied by tense threats to other planets. To Ketu and the Moon in 6th house, showing a fractured public mood yet again. To Mars in the 4th, weakened but still volatile, symbolizing unrest in the homeland. And to Uranus, the great disruptor, shaking the very cusp of the 10th house of government. In today's terms, this looks like leadership under siege, protests, challenges to legitimacy, threats of domestic extremism, and the constant tug of secrecy versus transparency. It also matches fears of surveillance, AI disruption, and power being concentrated in fewer hands. The Plutonian shadow of technology and control. If we put this all together, the inauguration chart is shouting one single message. The years ahead will not be calm continuation of what came before. They will be years of upheaval. The leader embodies the nation's crisis, not separate from it. The people are restless and divided with a sense of disconnection. The homeland itself is unstable, as if the floorboards are creaking under pressure. And in the background, Uranus rising ties, this all to America once in a lifetime Uranus return, a national shakeup that could change the identity of the whole country. Now, what does this mean in plain language. It means this presidential term is written not as a season of peace, but as a time when America is pulled into transformations it cannot avoid. Leaders will be tested, people will feel the strain, and the nation's very roots will be shaken. Yet there's one quiet blessing in this chart. Of course, at least one we see. Jupiter casts its protective glance on both the people and the leadership. This doesn't cancel the turbulence, but it offers moments of grace and chance to find wisdom amid the storm. So as we move through these years, expect that the unexpected will become normal. Power struggles will not be hidden, but lived out in the open. Technology, trust, identity, and survival will be the big themes, and the American story, once again, will be rewritten in fire. Thank you for watching. Please don't miss the second part of this video. I will give an analysis of what already happened in 2025 and how it played out together with chart and past planetary period, from protests in over 2,000 cities to federal troops in Portland and Los Angeles to a surge of executive power. The sky map we saw in January is alive and active. And I will make attempt to foresee future planetary period for USA as well. If you want to dive deeper into how these patterns reflect in your own life or in the life of the world around us, you can always find the link to book a consultation in the description below. See you in the next video. Bye.